good, that's good. Well, my name is Gael. I'm one of the student leaders here at the church. And thanks. One thing that I love is sports. Who in here loves sports? Okay, a lot of people. I love playing sports, but I also love watching sports. One of my favorite times of the year, or not the year, every now and then, is the Summer Olympics. Now, what I love about the Summer Olympics is it gets all the best athletes of the world, brings them to one location, and they compete to see who is the best at their sport. This past Olympics in Tokyo, they introduced a few new events, and one of the events they introduced was race walking. Yes, literally people are speed walking to the finish line. At first, I was pretty skeptical about it. I thought, who wants to see somebody walk to a finish line? Not until I watched the race walking, and I kind of liked it. The race walking was actually pretty interesting. It was more interesting than the 100-yard sprint. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and I'm researching for this sermon. And while researching for it, I come across the greatest walker of all time. His name is Enoch. Now, Enoch was literally known as the man who walked with God. In Genesis 5:22, it says, after he became the father of, you know what, for the sake of argument, I'm going to call this guy M. I don't know if it's coming up, the verse. Is the verse Genesis? Oh no, we're having technical. Are we good? Okay, I'm gonna just keep on going. On Genesis 5:22, it says, oh, there we go. So, for the sake of argument, this guy is called Methuselah, and for my sake and your sake, I'm gonna call him M, because I just don't want to say that. So after he became the father of M, Enoch walked faithfully with God for 300 years and had other sons and daughters. 300 years this guy walked with God. I can barely walk 3 hours without complaining. Now, he didn't really walk with God like physically. He spiritually walked with God. Obviously, God saw this faith and rewarded Enoch. In Hebrews 11:5, it says, by faith, Enoch was taken from this life, so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was condemned as the one who pleased God. So the reward that Enoch got for walking faithfully with God for 300 years was that he didn't have to experience death. Now, these two verses really just sum up Enoch's life. He lived a life, he walked with God, and then he was taken by God. So what can we learn with a guy who just simply walked? Well, that brings me to the title of my sermon. It's called Walking Like Enoch. Now, from the verses that we have, we can assume that Enoch lived a pretty simple life of faith. I mean, if he did something interesting, they probably would have put it in the Bible, but he was just a simple man. But God still rewarded Enoch, even though his faith was still simple. This brings me to my first point. God loves simplicity. Who in here likes math? All right, not that many people. See, me and math, we have a love-hate relationship, if you will. If you bring up a problem and I know exactly what to do, math is super easy and I love it. But then when you bring up a problem where I don't know what to do, that's where me and math, don't get really along. Sometimes when they bring up those equations and I don't know what to do, I start writing things that don't even make sense to me. I start putting symbols in corners. I start putting numbers that don't even make sense how I got them. Who here has done that? Yeah, a lot of us have done that. I feel like we do this with our faith also. We look at our faith and we think we have to do all these things and we just end up overcomplicating our faith. But in reality, our faith has to just be simple. Our faith with God has to be simple. Enoch is a great example of this. This man literally just he was known as walking with God. He did the simplest thing, and that was walk faithfully with God. So we can't overcomplicate our faith with God. We just have to simplify our faith with God. We can't be going 1,000 miles an hour. Sometimes we just have to step back and slow things down. Which brings me to my second point. Our walk with God is for the long haul. This time around last year, I did my first and last ever track season. Yeah, did not like it at all. When I was doing track, I showed up to the first practice, and they asked me on the first day, do you want to be a sprinter or a long-distance runner? And the main reason that I was doing track that year was to stay in shape for the upcoming soccer season. So I said, let me be a long-distance runner. And that was the mistake I made that day. So the first practice we did, we go down to a park, and the coach says, we're going to run a few laps. A few laps to me is maybe running the park 3 times, maybe even 4 times, and that's it. So we do the first 2 laps, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm running as hard as I could to show the coach that I can keep up with the fast people. Push comes to shove. By the end of my second lap, the coach ends up saying, we have 8 more laps to go. Now, I'm already dead. My legs are not in shape. I'm just tired. I don't even want to run anymore. Turns out, by the 5th lap, I was already on the floor crying, and, that happened. I feel like we do the same thing with our faith with God. Sometimes we go at it with God. We start off so fast and so well, but what we don't realize is we can't sustain that forever. It might look easy, but it's not. Enoch is a perfect example of someone who knew that their faith had to be for the long run. In Genesis 5:21 through 24, it says, when Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Em. After he became the father of Em, Enoch walked faithfully with God for 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived 365 years, and Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. So here is Enoch's story. He decides at 65 to walk with God, and he walks with God until the day God took him. That's exactly how our faith has to be. From the moment we decide we want to take a walk with God, our faith has to last us until we are with God. Let me say that again. Our faith has to last us until we are with God. Thank you. Too many times I've seen Christians be on fire for God, especially after a camp moment or a conference message, and they're on fire for God, and they want to do everything they can to continue their fire and feed their fire. But what ends up happening is a few years down the road, or a few months, or even a few weeks, they just end up stop having that drive for God. And that's because they can't sustain that drive that they had in the beginning. Our faith has to last us until the day we die. Now, we just learned how to walk like Enoch, but why should we walk like Enoch? Well, Enoch is the perfect example of the daily life a Christian has to walk. See, we do hear the stories of the giant slayers and the dream interpreters, but not every single day of your life is going to be like that. Not every single day are you going to face a giant. Not every single day are you going to interpret a dream. Sometimes your life will just be as simple as walking with God. Now, how can we walk with God? It can be simple as us just praying, us reading our Bible, or us watching a sermon now and then. And that's now and then. But that's how we can keep our faith simple. Not everything we do has to be this grand gesture to God. And that's it. Thank you.